Okay, so I am basically going to go through true centrism theory or the philosophy of a true centrist. So basically, I want to go through my theories on true centrism and how true centrism is actually meant to be achieved. Um, this video might sound really robotic because I'm going to be reading a lot from stuff, and I'll try to do a video in the future where I'm just kind of like thinking about it in the fly and just trying to explain it and go through it and kind of stuff like that. But today I'm just going to read through all my findings and all my theories, like how to be a true centrist, how true centrists are meant to work. Um, so first I think is like main points, like a list of points. Centrism, fair and balanced, reasonable, no mockery, honesty and not dishonesty, de-radicalize the reactionary left and de-radicalize the reactionary right. Not just the left or not just the right, but both sides. Centrism theory. This is like a little bit of like a little bit of theory of like how the political spectrum works. When you are caught in the middle of a bar, oh no, actually no, it is kind of that, but it's like on like a balance scale. When you are caught in the middle of a balance scale, basically meaning in the center, what that means is the center is actually caught between two sides. So that means that centrism is a combination of both left-wingism and right-wingism, or liberalism and conservatism. If you are a centrist, you are 25 left and 25% right, and not on either side of the extremes. If you are a centrist, you are both center left and center right at the same time. The job of a centrist, or a job of a true centrist, is to de-radicalize the far left and de-radicalize the far right and bring the far left and the far right to the center left and the center right by kind of like de-radicalizing their positions and bringing them to center left and center right positions. I think I basically explained what it says there. De-radicalize the far left through de-radicalization of the far right. Alt wording, derad, whatever. So here what I was basically touching on is because I am like a leftist, liberal, progressive type, and a centre right, a centre left winger. I do come from centrism, from like a left wing bias. So it's very, very hard for me to figure out how to de-radicalize the biases on the far left. Because most of the time I don't even think there is much of the far left. Obviously, when it comes to political violence, we need to stop pretending as if political violence is exclusively to the left or exclusively to the right. Political violence in itself is kind of like neutral. It's both. It's neither left wing nor right wing, and you kind of need to, as a centrist, not really blame either side or whatever. So what I realized that from being like from a leftist, um, coming to the center from a left wing, center left position, what I realized first is that I will focus on de-radicalizing the far right, or corrupt right wing politicians and political actors, and I will focus on de-radicalizing them first, and then by de-radicalizing them, they then are more likely to appeal to people on the left or people on the far left, because being um, antagonistic, um, isn't going to actually help bring people to your cause. It's actually just going to alienate people. Um, Consequences of bad faith. I haven't even started writing that yet. how to do true centrism. You have to attack and defend both sides equally. You can give both good points and bad points for both sides. Give both good arguments and bad arguments for both sides or for each position. What not to do. Centrism is not about compromise. You don't make both sides seem equally bad for the sake of it, that's where a lot of like 10 centrists tend to do. Yeah, they tend to like just try to pretend as if both sides are equally bad when they're not, in situations when they're not equally bad. Centrism is not about compromise. You don't make both sides seem equally bad for the sake of it. Or when it comes to a single topic, when one side is clearly more corrupt than the other in a single instance, you don't just say both sides are equally corrupt to balance it out. This is not balance or fair. This is actually just compromising and giving up. Alt format, if clearly one side is more bad than the other in a specific area, centrism is not about compromise. Centrism is about being fair and balanced. Centrism is not about shifting the blame from one side to the other. But sometimes you got to call it out things the way they are. But uh, while doing centrism, all right, while doing centrism, you cannot mock either or both sides. So you don't want to do mockery and belittling the other side. It's just going to alienate them and it's going to radicalize them even further. And people don't want to listen to you if you're being antagonistic. While being a centrist, you have to be impartial and you have to show that you are not taking one side over the other. When you're a centrist, you have to avoid emotionally charged or hostile terminology that one side or the other finds annoying or offensive or whatever. And the thing is, both reactionary leftists and reactionary right-wingers, they're both equally emotional, and they both can't take criticism when their side gets called out. You don't say right-wing, you say contrarian or conservative. You don't say woke, you say reactionary left, because woke is an antagonistic word, and it just makes worse and antagonizes them even further. When you do but this is going into another part. When you do true centrism, you are neither on neither side, but you are also on both sides. So when you do centrism, you are on neither side, but you are also on both sides at the same time. It's a balancing act of shifting back and forth and finding the center balance. Centrists do not use trigger words like mutilation to trigger an emotional response, because that is a deceptive tactic, and centrism is all about transparency. To be a centrist is to be a theorist, and if you cannot do centrist theory, then you are not a centrist. Centrism is the most difficult of all because it requires the most discipline, and that's why not many people, if any, are centrists in politics. A centrist does not care about money, likes, or clout. When you do centrism, you do not do appeal to compromise. You don't try to make out that one side is equally as corrupt as the other, when quite clearly that one side is infinitely more corrupt. When you are a centrist, you want to steer away from right-wingism and basically you want to stay away. Well, you want to what's that? Right-wingism and right-wing talking points, and like you want to stay away from either side's talking points because you don't want to be associated with either side. A centrist always argues for and against on both sides of any point. This is why not many people are centrists, because it requires double the work and double the amount of time. And ain't no social elite got time for that. It's almost as if, like, in order to be a centrist, you have to have no social life. Centrism has high risk potential of alienating both sides, because if you attack the left will hate you. If you attack the right will hate you. That is another reason why not many people do true centrism. I don't care about being liked because my logic must come first, but I am not going to ignore any corruption. Centrists do not ignore corruption just to make them look balanced. If either side is corrupt, you have to call it out. Centrists' points, not to offend, must find balance between mind and emotion. So the next part, respecting people's gender or gender identity, or respecting people's identity is the ethical thing to do. Respect people's religious beliefs. People's religious beliefs must be respected. A benevolent God would not condone bigotry, discrimination, or hate of any kind. Love thy neighbour, even though it's obvious that, excuse these parts if they annoy, I gotta go through everything. Even though it's obvious that bigotry is wrong. Okay, let me read this in my head first. That's been too emotionally charged. I won't read that. I don't know when it comes to that's me going into a particular topic. This is me just neutralizing a talking point. It's not about what is a woman, but male anatomy and female anatomy. Because man and woman can be applied to gender. You don't say man anatomy or woman anatomy, you say male anatomy or female anatomy. Okay, I'll skip this part. The difference is I would respect. Let me put like a line there on my notes. Path to agreement through the middle ground. In order to find agreement, both sides must be willing to compromise. If either side is not willing to compromise, then no compromise can be made. Perception matters. You can't acknowledge the metaphysical without first going through idealism. Perception must be respected. Truth isn't present within the mass mind, but can change within each individual mind. Perception is everything. Perception is how all knowledge and information gets to the brain. Personal truth seems just as actual. So personal truth seems just as real as actual truth. What happens when something goes beyond an illusion? It becomes a reality. That's another stance again. How to argue forever? So I think I can read this because it's kind of like a centrist argument that centrists and even right-wingers should do. And the reason, and I want to say this is like a practice test. So this doesn't necessarily represent my values, but me like entertaining something to try and figure things out. And it is going to mention trigger words that people don't like. The reason why trans people should accept the trans people not being able to compete in physical contact sports is because every time they allow this to happen, it provides cover and ammunition to the I don't know, far-right, corrupt political actors, fake conservatives, whatever, which then gives them opportunities to create discrimination and spread bigotry and hate towards people of a particular group in society. So allowing this to happen only puts trans people in danger, and that's where I want trans people to be safe. And the reason why that's centrist, because I'm basically going in a right-wing whatever stance, but then bringing it back to the centre, make it like balanced and fair. Because I'm saying like, oh, trans people should accept not being able to compete in like contact sports, because so that I'm basically saying trans people can't compete and being against the trans community. But I bring it back to the centre by making it about being protecting the trans community. That reminds me of something. The reason why. So, like, if you're a centrist and you're attacking the left, you should have the attitude of, I'm attacking the left, not because I'm an enemy of the left, but because I want to make the left better as a centrist. And, you know, centrists are meant to, like, de-radicalize, not not antagonize, because being antagonistic isn't going to de-radicalize anyone. That's not what true centrist is meant to do. True centrism is meant to be about bringing balance and bringing people together. Another me entertaining, steel manning like a right-wing conservative or argument. It's not about demonizing trans people through the sports topics. It's just that unfair competition is unfair competition. You know, whether they're trans is irrelevant. Don't celebrate when one side wins an election or rub it in to the runner-up's face, because that'll annoy people. Remember, don't be a geek or a douche. That's me going into more points again. This is me doing another like practice argument. And yes, mentioning words people don't like again, but trans medical treatment, pro-trans position. Whether a person ends up fully transitioning or not, I just want people to be as safe as possible. And I want the treatment to be as safe as possible. I want trans people to be safe as possible and for them not to live in regret. So it's attacking medical treatment, but then bringing it back to the centre to be about protecting trans people. UK ban and puberty blockers, go by the data. Equally rely on input from both sides. Make sure at appearances you don't lean too heavy in one side or the other. Rhetorically, because it could alienate people on either side, making you look like a bad face. It's meant to be actor, not other. Concentrate on this is like centrist like advice. Concentrating on banning is usually an extremist position. It should always be about improving or relying on a cultural shift, not a governmental one. Yeah, so don't ban things, aim to improve things and make things better. Nobody likes someone who likes trying to ban everything and to control everything. Golden rule, always keep it in the states. So whoever's in charge controls the states. Having this as a golden rule prevents state overreach of one state interfering with another state. This ends up being a straight down the middle approach when it comes to teenagers being able to self-identify in schools, both sides need to get get through to a point where they both respect each other's beliefs. Not that I think this has ever been a pattern in society, but rhetorically, I just like saying it, that we need to get back to a time where we all respect each other's beliefs. You know, if you're like LGBTQ, pro, respect religious people's beliefs. If you're religious, respect LGBTQ or left-leaning people's beliefs. De-radicalize the reactionary left and the reactionary right, not just left, both sides, or the same thing again. This has come to the end of my list. Farage in the UK wants to add patriotic education. Create a British baccalaureate, but not just teach people to value their country, but also to critique their country to make their country better as well. So you don't want to do a corruption tendency or a fascistic tendency of disagreement is treason. If you do, what am I saying here? I think I'm basically talking about like if they do like a British baccalaureate, incorporate like valuing and critiquing your country, or like if you add patriotic education, mix it in with a British baccalaureate with things like media literacy thinking and critical thinking skills. And the biggest realization, sorry about that. The biggest realization that I've had, in the last like 6 months, 8 months with true centrism, is that the whole point of a true centrist is to de-radicalize both ends of this extreme, bring people to the centre left and the centre right, so they're more likely to find compromise and agree in the centre. But anyway, I've gone through all the stuff I've written down. I need to write more. This is why this is the last like version or mock or version I did. Anyway, I think that's done. I do want to go into how the reason why not many people do true centrism is because it would require double the amount of time. Because if you're like a left winger, that's all you have to do is left wing arguments. If you're a right winger, that's all you have to do is right wing arguments. Whereas a centrist, if you're doing both for and against for both sides, that could be like double to quadruple the amount of time, or 4 times the amount of time. So it's just like people don't have time to do it, so that's why not many people actually practice true centrism. The reason why I decided to create true centrism is because you have this thing in politics where they say that there is no such thing as centrism. So that gave me a goal to basically like create true centrism. Well, if there is no true centrism, as a theorist, as an amateur theorist, I'm going to create true centrism theory. And the other reason why is because so the first reason is because people say there's no true centrism, so I was just like, well, I'm going to create true centrism. And the other reason is because the people usually try to say that they're centrist, they're actually not. They either just take one side completely, or they like they kind of like pretend. It's like depending on who's on their show, they either go like full extreme on one side or they go full extreme on the other. And it's just like, I wanted to create like true centrism that's actually genuine and legit and stuff like that. So that's why I started creating true centrism. But anyway, that's what I've got in true centrism theory in what I've written so far. But anyway, yeah. So that's centrism theory, how to be a true centrist. I'll try to do another video doing like a spitballing mock practice version where I'm not reading off something and stuff like that and go into true centrism theory. And I think we do need. I don't think everybody needs to go centrist. I think we do need like centrist focused actors that are legit good faith that actually want to create positive change, bringing people together, neutralizing far left wing, far right wing, and because like I want to create honesty and like I want to stop. Like I believe that there's a lot of figures online that actually like they're not really following true like Jesus accepting, loving thing. It just seems to me as if they're weaponizing a religion to control people, but that's another topic for a video that I probably can't do. But anyway, that's true centrism theory. And as you might notice in my videos, I tend to like run out of stamina when it comes to explaining things. So as the video goes along, there's a certain point where I just like honk out, I get tired, and I just can't explain anymore. So sometimes I end my videos abruptly, sometimes I'm like, nah, and sometimes I'm whatever. But anyway.